We're in, we're on. It's GTV. It's Thursday, the 21st of July. It's 2011, and it's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Welcome to this edition of GTV. We're going to look at a few different topics today, based on the subject of the children and society. Most essentially, it's this concept of peer pressure and the results of peer pressure today. What other things? It's looking like a nice day outside, a bit cloudy, nice light wind blowing, so it's cool. It's not too hot today, and so there we are. First article today. Let's dive in. We're looking here at peer pressure. This is essentially the idea that we are constantly affected by the people around about us. Peer pressure might be something that not just affects young people, teenagers is the classic example, but it might affect people in their work or in society in general, maybe even in their social life, maybe in their, if they're part of a sports team in their free time or some other similar group, they're going to be affected by peer pressure. This invisible force that drives people to conform to what's generally considered as normal within society. So our first article today is peer pressure causes people to literally alter their memories of recent events. This is taken from naturalnews.com. Link will be posted in the comments section. Humans are highly social animals, and for many years psychologists have observed a variety of both positive and negative effects resulting from a human tendency called memory conformity. So we're not just looking at this element of conforming our present actions, but we're looking at memory conformity, which is in this context conforming to a standardized view of the past, if that view is presented enough times. We, through our own mind, are then essentially changing our own view about what happened from a historical context. So when groups of people are exposed to similar experiences, their recollections of the experience, as well as their feelings and values related to the event, tend to reshape over time in order to conform to those of their peers. Empirical evidence of memory conformity and social compliance have been suggested by classic psychological studies conducted since the 1950s. Famous experiments and studies have been conducted in schools, prisons, and workplace settings. This idea of social compliance. The Milgram and Ash experiments, I think, fall into these categories. I'll see if I can find some links to information about those and post them if I remember. Earlier this week, the Journal of Science published a study providing the strongest neurological evidence yet in support of the existence of memory conformity. As one of my students suggested yesterday, no shock, really, is it? It's no surprise. You don't need to be a nuclear physicist or a rocket scientist or a thermogeological engineer to realize that that everyone is going to be affected by everything that happens around about them, and they're going to conform. We conform in the present to shape the future, and we can conform in our minds to shape the past as well. In the study, Mika Edelson and colleagues showed a documentary to a group of volunteer test subjects. Later, the subjects were asked questions about the documentary while their brain activity was monitored by magnetic resonance imaging. MRI. It's very interesting what MRI can show that is happening in the brain. It's also very interesting, I think, that doctors and scientists are using MRI to explain certain thought patterns that are happening with people. I'm not convinced that MRI is going to really provide us with any great answers in that area. I think that again, the more we study, the less we tend to know in some respects, especially when it's concerning the human mind. The study lends strong support to the possibility that our memories can actually be rewritten by the overwhelming force of our innate desire for social acceptance and conformity. We desire to be accepted by society, by certain groups. We desire to conform to the image that is presented to us as normal. And this can be seen everywhere. You grow up in one society, you conform to the rules of that society. You move into another society. If you're younger, you can then conform to those rules. If you're older, then you're set in your ways. You're the old dog that can't be taught new tricks, essentially. So this is one of the reasons why history at school has been such a failure, I think, in Western countries over the last few years, that there's been an accepted conformity in the writing of events from especially through the 20th century, and maybe even slightly before that, which has led to a conformed set of opinions about the past, which, according to my research, are quite questionable. Look at where Germany got its money from in the Second World War. Look at who was funding and financing the political parties. Look at who provided the components for the machines and the oil and the fuel there, an often ignored element of history. The results of the study can be applied to cultural and political events as well, and can be used to explain why illogical or irrational assertions, common in my everyday experience, I can tell you, can sometimes attain stubborn and popular support. The curious persistence of doubts about proven scientific and historical events can provide a wealth of examples of the surprising power of peer pressure when measured against the power of concrete evidence. As one British comedian said, it's the power of suggestion that creates the reality. So what pressures affect young people? We've got advertising. I mean, people wouldn't spend money on advertising if it didn't essentially work. You have to question the direction of a lot of different kinds of advertising. Anyway, I mean, young people they're constantly under attack. There's advertisements through the TV and radio. We're talking about direct advertisements. Then we've got product placement. Then we've got the peer pressure, what's cool, conformity elements there. You've got what's my friend listening to. You've got the alpha pups and groups that are studied in terms of social research there. And so on. It continues. In some places, you can't look anywhere without seeing an advertisement. I guarantee. I challenge you to walk down any street in any city and not find an advertisement for Coca-Cola somewhere in that street. Interesting about Coca-Cola as well, I just learned recently that they're the only company allowed to import the cocoa plant and its leaves into the United States. And once they've extracted their the essential ingredients that they need to put into the Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, of course, is originally coming from cocaine. Most people know that now. What are they going to do with the other parts of the product? I wonder why they have so much money for advertising. Perhaps there's a connection there. Magazines, you can't escape from it. Newspapers, if young people are going to pick up a newspaper, I think that's a specific element of society we're looking at. Friends, of course, everybody wants to be the leader, or wants to follow the leader, essentially. Then we have the extended form of advertisements. We have books, and with their plots and subplots, and we have films, of course, with the product placement in the films, and this element of cool. And we have then monkey see, monkey do. The young people want to conform to those standards. They definitely, and they can conform to those standards of superhuman powers that exist in a lot of the films, or the unattainable standards of beauty that destroy the female's concept of herself, basically, as a mother. The advertising is just simply tearing young brains apart. So what is all this leading to? It's leading to a society which is dissolving, I think, in certain areas and through certain aspects. Here's a story. Florida teen kills parents for not letting him host a party. A 17-year-old boy from Port St. Lucie, Florida, has done something seasoned psychopaths would dread. He bludgeoned his parents with a hammer for apparently not allowing him to hold a party, and then went ahead and had the party with the dead bodies locked in a bedroom. What kind of minds are we creating? He posted a Facebook invitation for friends to a party at his parents' ranch-style house. That triggered a clash with his parents, and so he killed them. Between 40 to 60 people attended the party, which went on until the wee hours of the next morning. Some of those who attended the party said he had looked nervous and panicky. No shit. I wonder why. Shocking. Here's a Daily Mail article. 10-year-old boy hangs himself after taking Ritalin and Prozac. Oh, the desire to conform causes us, and causes parents. It causes not just the young people, but the parents then to affect pressure on those young people to conform, to do well, to pass the test so they can go to the next level, and pass the next test so they can get to the next level, and pass the next test so they can get into the next school, and sit the next test, and do the next test to get into the next school, to get through that school, to get into a better social situation. It goes on and on. It never ends. 10-year-old boy hung himself with a belt from his bunk bed while taking a psychotropic combination of Ritalin and Prozac. It's frightening what we're doing. We shouldn't be giving any drugs to the kids. I mean, I will post the article. I recommend you read it and you think about the reasons for actually becoming involved and doing these activities. Picking out quotes, the father says the two drugs are entirely to blame for his son's death, whose boisterous behavior and low spirits led to a psychiatrist's suggestion to begin taking. I mean, if you look at the medical books, everything that is being a child is essentially diagnosed as being some kind of problem, and we'll give them drugs to try to make everything better, and that doesn't work. What's the point? The point is to look at what we've done. Look at how we've poisoned our children within society. There's still time to turn around. We've given them a cocktail of fear, depression, inability to communicate, formation of selfish desires, but there's still time to turn it around if we think carefully about our children and our children's future. I'll post the articles. Thank you.